Hey guys, I'm Hunter with Nelson Insurance. I'm gonna go over us just buying our first insurance book. So we bought our first insurance book. It was actually my buddy of mine. We've been throwing around the idea of merging for like years, but we really couldn't get either of us to do it. So then he ended up having another business venture that worked out really well for him. So then he ended up just selling out and just acquired them here on the 15th, so 10 days ago. I'll let you guys know that process, what that's kind of like. But yeah, it's been crazy, been a big deal. So that was awesome. I've got actually a mergers and acquisitions list here from Bradley Flowers. So if you guys get any questions on buying an agency, just let me know. Because I've got a whole list now printed out, so that way next time I do it, I've got kind of an idea here. But yeah, buying the agency, this agency's been around for like 95 years. And then he actually sold his personal lines book, which is what mainly it was, like 2 years ago. So then he grew pretty dang quick in 2 years, and then he had that other business venture. So when you guys are gonna go buy another book, the biggest things you guys want to keep an eye out for are what are the carriers. Make sure you have them. Since me and him were good buddies, we actually had almost all the same carriers, same processes, all that stuff. We're growing our agencies together, really. So it worked out really well in that sense. But you want to know what carriers they have because I'm not gonna name any names, but like you guys know, if they got all non-standard carriers, what or all non-standard like lines of business through brokerage or like whatever certain carriers, like you don't want that stuff, right? You're gonna have certain clients that come along with it. If they have really killer carriers like Great West, Auto Owners, Acuity, Cincinnati, any of that type of stuff, like holy crap, now that book's worth a lot more. And then you got to know the loss ratios too. What's the retention? You bringing on any of the employees? What are you doing with the debt? Are you going to get an LOI in place? What's the revenue? I mean, obvious. I mean, that's the obvious thing. What's the revenue? Because the smaller agencies, I say smaller, I mean like small compared to like what the big guys are doing. The big guys like Gallagher and all those ABC agencies as I call them, they're all paying time like EBITDA multiples. You're not really gonna be paying EBITDA multiples unless you're I don't even know frankly 50, 100 million, couple $100 million books premium wise. I think if you're probably under 100 million, you're probably gonna be going with X revenue or time revenue multiples. And so that's exactly how about this thing. It was just a revenue multiple. The bigger the book, the higher the retention, the better the carriers, lower loss ratio, all that stuff drives that revenue multiple up. I don't know. I've heard some people get up there to like 5x multiples on revenue. If you're huge, probably even more than that. If it's a really small book, like million, 2 million, you're probably like one and a half, something like that. But yeah, that's kind of. I'm talking 1 million, 2 million premium. Okay, not times revenue, but and then you take it times revenue, which would be a couple $100,000 in revenue. Right? But that's kind of like what that looks like. I will say the process of actually buying it and transferring all the data is crazy. There's a lot of stuff that even like this thing at the list didn't even prepare me for. Like for example, guys, if you guys are buying another agency, how are you going to transfer that data to your AMS? We're mainly commercial. We're mainly a trucking agency, so most of the stuff does not download Ivans. Like I think Progressive and Geico do, so that's fine. But like, what happens if you got a lot of business with Canal through Amwins or basically any other carrier, for example, right? So we have a lot of business that's gonna be going in manually. We tried getting a backup and exit file from he used Applied Epic. It was 20 grand for like I don't know how many policies he had. It was almost all trucking, so it was like maybe 200 clients. But for 200 clients, it was 20K. I'm just like, holy crap, that's insane. I ain't paying 20K, so we're gonna have my VA do it manually. And I'm gonna obviously help her out, and some other people are here to help her out. But that's one thing to be cautious of. Getting a loan from the banks. You can try to seller finance if you can. Otherwise, if you guys are ever going to buy a book, you absolutely have to go through like an insurance bank, like Westfield, Live Oak, Insure Bank, anything like that. Like you go to your local stuff, your local banks. Like I got some real estate, try to go through most of them. They're all wanting a ton of collateral through real estate, it's the only way they're going to do it. But if you're not fine putting up 2, 3 properties as collateral, depending on the size of the loan, you ain't gonna get a loan for them because it's not their typical deal. Most of these guys just do a UCC on the agency because they understand how this stuff works. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of like the prep for buying the book. I will say one thing that gets me really excited is other carriers love this. So now I can go talk to other carriers, talk about book rolls, bring on a couple new carriers. We're gonna try to bring on 2 or 3 new guys, even that we're not bringing on from the book. I'm actually cutting most of the people that we're bringing on from this other agency that I don't have access to, just because, like I said, we grew a lot of them together, and so a lot of them are smaller or carriers that have smaller books with them, like just like maybe 3 policies with them. Excuse me. And I can find home shows elsewhere, and I really don't have my appetite matching up with their appetite. So then I'm going to cut a lot of those guys, go bring on carriers that I want to bring on, and because now it gives me a bump in my current book, and there's a lot of business to be go book rolled to them or reshopping on those lines. Other carriers love it, so that's one thing that's really dang cool. It is busy. We had to turn one of our agents to a CSR. We hired another CSR. So that's been a lot of training. Working on some of the renewals. You got the guys that renew here beginning of November or at the end of October. And so like we're kind of catching those things last second, popping in there, having them help us, getting the introduction. Big question a lot of people try to figure out is, do you let the current clients know? We sent out a video, and sure enough, the agency we bought got crazy phone calls, text, emails. What the heck's going on? Am I gonna be non-renewed? Am I losing? My rate's gonna go up. That's everybody's main answer. My rate's going up. What's going on here, right? So you got to kind of preemptively figure something out there. But we did send out a notification. I'd say if you're personal lines, it's probably something I wouldn't do. I've heard a lot of people say, like, especially Bradley Flowers. Like, I go listen to the Insurance Guys podcast. So if you guys haven't done that, go do that 100%. Bradley Flowers talks about buying books all the time because he's bought a million agencies. And real quick too, we did not buy the agency, but bought the book. So no location, no employees coming over, no assets besides the book, which is not really a hard asset, right? You can't touch it. So just a revenue stream. We're buying a cash cow. But yeah, I mean, so it's gonna be different along all that type of stuff. So you gotta be just kind of cautious of how the book looks, what you're planning on doing there. So we're just buying the book. So it's been a lot to get set up, a lot of data transferring, a lot of manual entry, a lot of figuring out what's going on there. Getting a lot of looks at new carriers, which is awesome. But if you're buying personal lines, then yeah, I would probably not send something out there because you have way more clientele, and it just you gotta have all these one-on-one conversations there, buddy, because everybody's gonna have just questions that even might sound obvious, like, oh, my rate's going up. Like on our side, we know, no, you're just gonna be staying with your current insurance company. Nothing's really gonna change unless you call in and you figure out you're not talking to the same person. But if you don't even call in, like, you're not even gonna realize, right? And if anything, now you got 2 agencies becoming one, and you probably got more insurance carriers. So you gotta kind of try to answer those questions before they even get asked. When it's commercial lines and you got 200 people, it's less people to deal with, and you're dealing with 100,000, couple 100,000, $50,000 accounts where they got the relationship built there. When it's personal lines, you might have $4,000 as the average account, or $3,000, $2,000 the average account size for premium, obviously, where it's like, they're not as tied to their current agent. When you have these renewal calls every year with your current agent on $100,000 account, there's risk management that takes place. There's really that relationship that gets built. We have personal clients that I wrote 3 years ago and I haven't talked to once. Half of them even forgot that I sold them. They asked for Becky, my office manager, who used to be the personal line CSR, more than me, and I'm the guy who sold them. And they're like, hey, is Becky around? I'm like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah, good, looking for Becky. Like, they forgot basically even who I am. Obviously, that ain't gonna happen on big commercial accounts, and they're paying tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So you got to have that little more personal touch. I sent out a video explaining who I am. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the process. I obviously I can get deep in the weeds here, but this could be a 30-minute video, 40-minute video, pretty dang quick. So I kind of just show like give you guys kind of an update, kind of tell you what's going on with Nelson Insurance Agency, tell you guys the process of it all. Like I think it's super sweet. It's a big step forward for Nelson Insurance Agency. People are buying books left and right, so I'll give you guys a little brief overview what that looks like. If you guys want me to expand more on a certain part of this, or you guys got questions or anything on those lines, I'm happy to send out my checklist to anybody. If you guys ever think about buying an agency down the road, it's not something you got to go into lightly. I mean, these are big loans. You could ease. I mean, most of these book purchases, you're gonna be spending at least $1 million or have at least $1 million loan on it, or pay $1 million cash. And so you got to make sure the retention and everything's done right. Because the last thing you want is to go buy an agency where the loss ratio is crap and you realize, oh, these guys are on the chopping block for their biggest carrier. Or, man, this loss ratio is horrible. I just lost on my profit sharing. Or retention's horrible and business is horrible and it's animal on a service and there's no documentation on anything. And now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with all my clients and I got huge E&O exposures. Like, how you guys word that contract? Do I have a good lawyer that's going to make, like, what happens if you have brokerage business and there's amounts due? I was looking at buying another book here last year, and I kid you not, there was $140,000 that the agency owed to an MGA. If I had my lawyer double check the contract that he sent me over and catch that we're responsible for liability, I would have bought in the book for it was a smaller book, like $290,000 in revenue, but I have $150,000 in liabilities owed to one MGA. Like, holy crap, I'm gonna sink the ship doing that stuff. So yeah, I mean I've looked at a couple books. This is the first one that I actually went through. So if you guys got any questions, want to know more, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help agents. I love doing it. So appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe. I want to keep doing these videos, helping you agents out. I'm 21, figuring this stuff out with no experience. So I have had a lot of people help me out, so I'm happy to help you guys out. By no means do I have a ton of experience, but I'm getting close to 4 years of experience knowing the agency, and I work like a dog, trying to know more than most of my competition out there. So, yeah, happy to help, but thanks for watching, guys.